pathetic fool.
Merry Christmas everyone, I hope you have a tremendous holiday season so far. Today I want to talk about violence in video games with you, but no worries, I have no intentions of making any kind of moral argument here. But in all seriousness, violence in video games has been around, well, pretty much since video games have been around. Like in pretty much any other media, violence is a big part of entertainment. A lot of people wouldn't want to hear this, but it's true. Violence in games has been around forever and is an integral part of it. What could be classified as violent? Well, could jumping on a Goomba be considered a violent act? Well, yes, of course it could. Dealing with violence in games has always been a sensitive topic. To this day, developers try to use violence and violent topics to market their games to people. The latest hatred controversy is a prime example for that. Others, however, chose the road of using violence as a funny gimmick. The truth is, the more controversial a game, the more publicity it will get as well. Most notorious for this strategy was Mortal Kombat back in 1992. Yeah, Mortal Kombat was the major game changer. It completely redefined what was believed to be possible in video games. Before this one came around, games were mostly considered to be child's toys, of which you'll eventually grow out of. They were not necessarily designed around the idea of adult entertainment, so imagine the uproar this game received when it first hit the scene. People of my generation will know. Growing up as a kid, it was the curiosity that drove us to play Mortal Kombat. It wasn't easy to get a hold of the game if your parents kept an eye on you, so therefore soon after, the wildest stories would hit the schoolyard, most notorious about the guy who pulls the heart of the other player and it's still pounding in his hand. Like pretty much anyone else, we couldn't believe what we are hearing, but we all wanted to play it. Undeniably, our view of video gaming changed forever. Soon after, games like Boon followed and we were obsessed about playing games that scared us with its display of violence. Sure, nowadays it's ridiculous to even consider them realistic or shocking, but back then, pretty much anyone I knew was somewhat affected by the amount of blood and gore that came our way. Didn't matter if you actually played the games, everyone wanted to chime in on the topic of ultra-violent video games. And where fascination is, there's also money to be made. Bad press or not, that didn't really matter. The stories alone that you could punch the head of another guy off made us think, I wonder what that's like. I gotta play it. But with every gold mine, there's always some people who take it way too far. Making violence, blood and gore the big deal about your game eventually triggered something in the minds of developers. They probably thought, hey, as long as our game displays a shit ton of gore, we'll be able to sell. The focus wasn't on making a good game anymore, it was much rather on making it as controversial and shocking as possible, and therefore, to reach as many people as possible. And in 1998, someone finally pushed the cart over the edge. There's one game in particular which is known for its exhibit of blood, gore and overall madness. So, you guys wanna see it? You sick bastards. The game I'm talking about is called Thrill Kill for the PlayStation 1. It was developed by Paradox Entertainment, who later went on to be acquired by Midway. The game was cancelled prior to its release because the publisher EA allegedly thought it's a senseless violent game that could potentially harm the image of the company. God damn, that's something you don't hear every day. The hype around the game was real though. A lot of outlets called it the new or next Mortal Kombat, but it went on to never see the light of day. However, even back in 98 and 99, bootleg copies of this game found its way to curious people who wanted to see what these crazy bastards actually came up with. As a kid, the stories about this game were so rampant that a few kids actually believed that even owning the game would get you in prison. True story. Well, but all stories aside, let's see what this game actually has to offer. Did we really miss out on the next big thing here, or did we dig up a turd? Let's find out. the hell am I looking at? Talk about the clusterfuck of a situation. There's a guy in a straitjacket, a guy who wields a severed leg as a weapon, a sexy nurse, and a dwarf on stilts? What kind of character grid is this? Maybe it helped if I knew a little bit about the story, but there is none. Well, none that's worth mentioning at least. A bunch of crazy people died, are sent to hell, and are now thrown together to fight each other in hopes of being reborn. Guess the writers took the lazy road here. As you can see, the game is a 3D fighting game. Every round basically starts as a free-for-all until one fighter fills up his power bar. It's sort of like a reversed health bar. The more damage you do and the better combos you string together, the faster your bar fills. And once you've filled your bar completely, you have to grab one of your opponents, which will result in a half-assed fatality ripoff. As soon as you reach a one-on-one, the character will get hit by lightning and performs more of an individual finishing move. I gotta say though, I'm a little disappointed how bland they are. I mean, everyone knows what they were trying to do here, copying the fatality of Mortal Kombat. But remember how awesome they were in comparison? There was real build up to it. Not everyone back then knew how to perform them, so it was really surprising to actually see them. Also, some of them were really elaborate. Or just plain unexpected. In this game, however, well, once you've bettered the character enough and get a hold of them, the character will always perform the same finishing move, and they are pretty unspectacular to say the least. Sure, for today's standards they look like nothing, but back then, they made people go apeshit. Doesn't change the fact that they are lazy though. The problem with these finishing moves is that you can't skip them. It gets old pretty quick. By the time you've played the game for like 15 minutes straight, you're completely desensitized by it already. It's boring as hell. It's shock. And then, oh, seen it. At this point the violence is nothing more than a gimmick, so how much game is left when you strip away all the blood and gore? Well, not that much to be honest. Once you finish the batch of 3 characters, you're on to the next arena. That's it. Pretty bare bones to say the least. No stage interactivity, no items, nothing. It's not like Free Kill is the worst fighting game ever made, but it certainly doesn't earn any Game of the Year awards for innovation. The controls, for instance, are pretty basic. 2 punch and 2 kick buttons, crouch and block on the shoulder buttons, that's about it. There's also counters, but they are neglectable. There's the possibility of stringing together nice combos as well by air juggling, but it doesn't really feel rewarding for some reason. Unless it's a one-on-one, for the most part you fare just fine if you button mash your way to victory. There are some moves which are worth mentioning, like the classic ball crusher or the buttfuck surprise. But apart from a small smirk, they don't really make your jaw drop, even for 1998 standards. It's amazing how many different games tried to copy Mortal Kombat and failed. Alright, I guess that was a thing. Anything else before I shut my console off and forget that this game ever existed? Well, once you've beaten a few rounds of free-for-alls, you're greeted by none other than Judas himself. But what the hell is that thing anyway? An upside down black and white boxer? What kind of fucked up bullshit is this? I'm not the most religious person, but I don't recall that from the Bible. Huh, that's odd. Let me look that up in the Bible real quick, I'm curious. Oh yeah, here it is. Mark. Chapter 14, verse 18, if you may allow. And as they were reclining at table and eating, Jesus said, "Truly, I say to you, one of you will betray me, one who's eating with me." They began to be sorrowful and to say to him one after another, "Is it I?" He said to them, "It is one of the 12, one who is dipping bread into the dish, with his fucking boxing gloves on. He can't shut up about how he doesn't have any legs, and that he likes to fuck up guys in his jail cell, where he puts odd posters on the wall all the time. Woe to that man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It would have been better for that man if he had not been born." Also, his guest appearance in Free Kill sucks, 1 out of 10. True story. Jesus Christ, what a pile of fucking bullshit. After you've defeated the Antichrist, the devil himself waits for you. Yup, that harpy with tits is the final boss. Beat her and you've beaten the game. Your reward is a shitty cutscene that lasts about a minute, and then roll the credits. Do I feel accomplished? Not at all. Well, finished with that. In conclusion, it's by far not the worst game ever made, but it's clearly a game where you can feel that they try to cash in on the controversy as much as possible. It would have been better if they focused more on making major content and not make it as disgusting, gory or controversial as possible. Well, I sort of get why they cancelled the game last minute now. Would have been too much work to rework all those paintings of the Last Supper, right? Merry Christmas everyone, I hope you enjoyed this episode of the PDShoW. As always, make sure to press that like button and favorite and subscribe, it's very much appreciated. If you want to, leave a comment in the comment box below, that's also appreciated, thank you very much. And if you have Twitter and you want to stay up to date and, well, read my weird tweets, you can also follow me on Twitter at PDShoW. Thank you very much for that. I'd like to announce as well that I will be away for a little bit. I will take a little bit of a break in between the years, but I will continue working on new content and I'll be back in January with more stuff, so don't you worry. That might take a little while though, and until then, if that's too long for you of a break, you might want to check out other stuff that I did over the last few weeks. So click one of those annotations, they take you to other videos that I made. And they are actually not that bad. Unless you consider this one bad as well, then you might not like it. But if so, well, everybody has his opinion. Make sure to get into 2015 safely, and I will see you guys next time. Take care and bye bye.